Happy lunch hour, guys. All right, so I got a question for you. We all know what jurisdiction is when it comes to law enforcement, right? Your county cops, county sheriff has jurisdiction in the county. Your police department has jurisdiction in their city. The state police have jurisdiction in the state, yada, 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 yada. One thing people probably know is that federal law enforcement, let's say the U.S. Marshal Service or the FBI or anything like that, has jurisdiction within the confines of the United States. And I'm probably pretty sure, don't quote me on this, you can tell me if I'm wrong, maybe it's different somewhere, that probably goes pretty much the same in every other country around the world, except for one. Yeah. Now, it's no secret that I consider our biggest national threat, not only to the United States, but pretty much to the Western world, is China, okay? I know there's a whole bunch of people out there, especially those in Washington who are 70 and up, who still haven't let the Cold War end, and it's Russia, 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 everything. And that's only because the Chinese keep putting money in their pockets. Did you know that the Chinese are establishing police stations all around the rest of the world, including the United States, including in Canada, including most of Europe? Oh, I don't know, Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Uzbekistan, Cambodia, Tanzania. Yeah, there's Chinese police departments there, run and manned by the CCP. Yup. Okay, there's one in the United States, in New York. There are currently 3 in Canada, in Toronto. Imagine you now be going down the street and there's a Chinese cop that stops you. It's not too far off in the future. Why would the Chinese need a police force in foreign countries? Because communists do things differently. The People's Republic of China has opened up these public security bureaus, as they put them, all over the world. And as their statement is, it's to help people, Chinese nationals or whatever, that are living in another country that, their driver's license has expired or something, and these are service stations where they can get help. No, that would be called an embassy, okay? It's, territorial, literally the Chinese embassy in the United States is Chinese territory, okay? That there's agreements between countries to have embassies and et cetera, and you set foot in a U.S. embassy in Moscow, you are standing on U.S. soil, even though you are in the heart of Russia. Okay, same thing works here. You step foot in a Chinese embassy in New York City, and you are standing on Chinese soil, even though it's in the United States. But the Chinese have decided that they are going to establish their own police force in foreign countries, which is in direct violation of international law. However, they're doing it anyway. Okay. Now, like I said, they're saying it's service stations to help Chinese nationals, navigate, so they don't have to fly back to China to renew their driver's license. Does it mean anyway? You're not going to be driving in China if you're living in Canada. If you're living in the United States or wherever, you're probably getting a U.S. driver's license. Okay. Chances are you've got a visa of some sort, whether it's a student visa or a work visa or whatever it is, you get a driver's license. Okay? Especially in the U.S. Hell, you don't need to have any ID and you get a driver's license, right? Gee, you need to go back to China? Fine. When you get back to China, go to the local DMV and get your driver's license. Not a big deal. No, what this is actually doing, what these organizations are actually doing, and I will link this for you, and it's from a Asian group, if you will, that protects the rights of Asian citizens, called Safeguard Defenders. Okay, I'm going to link an article below for you. But what this group is actually doing is spying on Chinese citizens and Chinese nationals in the United States and 30 other countries, 29 other countries. So it doesn't matter if you are a U.S. citizen, if you have family back in China and they want something from you, they won't arrest you, they will just persuade you to go back to China. And how do they do that? They threaten your family back there. Gee, does this sound like the old Soviet Union? Well, hey, this is how the communists do things. This is what AOC and the Jihad Squad want. This is what Bernie Sanders wants. This is all this sort of stuff. They threaten your family members overseas with, back in China, with the kids can't get an education. You can't get medical care. They seize your assets. They'll imprison family members who do not give up the person in the United States, Canada, Ireland, whatever, Bulgaria, pick a country that they want back. Okay, you are owned by the Chinese government. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, big deal. What does that mean to me? Now, I've told you many times, there's only two reasons I'm leaving this house. If the forest goes up on fire or the Chinese come over the hill. Never have I said if the Russians come over the hill, if the Mexican drug cartels go over the hill. I don't worry about them. I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be the Chinese. Do you see how the Chinese are putting their infrastructure into the rest of the world? We're going to buy up farmland. I mean, there's a big story going on right now where North Dakota, the citizens of North Dakota are trying to overturn the Chinese purchase of farmland near an Air Force base that the Chinese want to put up a grain mill on. Right, okay, that's the cover for, gee, we want to spy on, this Air Force base. Gee, what do we have a lot of in North Dakota? Oh, those would be nuclear missile silos, just in case you didn't know, okay? This is the kind of stuff that's going on right under our nose. Have you ever heard anything about this? I haven't. I didn't know there was one of these bureaus in New York City. The only reason I found this is because there's 3 of them going up in Toronto, okay? When the investigation went in to look and see what these buildings actually were, one was a house, one was in a strip mall that was filled with a bunch of other Chinese Canadian businesses. Yeah, right under our nose, the Chinese government is infiltrating our neighborhoods. Now, there's only one in the United States right now, in New York. You can pretty much bet they're going to put one, I don't know, where'd be a good place? San Francisco, maybe? I don't know, big Chinatown there. Chicago, maybe? Big Chinatown there, okay? Los Angeles? If you don't think this is coming, this is how they are the Chinese are trying to take over the world, because it's not going to be long till they start going, oh, Mr. Pinball, you did something in collaboration with a Chinese store that we think is a problem. We need you to come to China. I'm not going to China. Yeah, you are, because if you don't, we're going to insert penalty here, okay? This is the stuff to pay attention to. I mean, a year ago, people were screaming and yelling, going, oh my God, the Canadians are training military troops in Canada. Remember that? Okay. When have you heard anybody talk about the Chinese putting police, CCP police, monitored, paid by the Chinese government? When have you heard of that in New York? Have you ever seen that in a news story? Canadians, has CBC told you anything about that? Has Justin Trudeau said anything about the Canadians having law enforcement, or the Chinese having law enforcement officers in Canada? Probably not, okay? Why? Because A, it's illegal, okay? It's against international law, like I said earlier. And B, because the Chinese say, well, that's not what we're here doing. Except this investigation, this Safeguard Defenders Group, has found 230,000 people around the world that have voluntarily deported themselves back to China. You know, I'll give you one story, and you think this is only if they're Chinese citizens, okay? In 2019, the New York Times did a story with a lady by the name of Sheng Zhu, all right? And she is a Mississauga opponent of the Chinese government, of the CCP, okay? She escaped from China during the Tiananmen Square deal, okay? 1989. That is 33 years ago, okay? Lives in New York. Whole big deal, been here for 33 years. At a minimum, to be here that long, she's got a green card, okay? Permanent resident, or probably, but I can't confirm, a citizen. She's been pursued by this group in New York. Her quote, I thought I'd have a safe, I'm sorry, she lives in Canada, not New York. I thought I'd have a safe, happy life in Canada. But the Communist Party was already here. They've been harassing her for years. Did you know anything about this? I sure didn't. The Chinese are our enemies, guys. I don't care what anybody says. The biggest threat to freedom in the world is the CCP. And they're right in your backyard, and you didn't even know it. Pinball out.